Hey everybody, it's Mr. Haskell and I'm back with more things you should know by being alive. And today I want to talk about gerrymandering. This is the famous political cartoon that started the terminology off. So, have you ever wondered why some elections feel unfair or why some politicians seem safe no matter what happens? So, today I want to dive into gerrymandering, which is one of the most powerful and controversial forces in American electoral politics. So, what is gerrymandering? At its core, gerrymandering it's the manipulation of electoral district boundaries so that they can benefit a particular party or a particular group. So, politicians redraw voting districts every 10 years after the census. Ideally, this is to ensure fair representation as populations change and shift, right? But when lines are drawn strategically, they can actually dilute certain votes while strengthening others. So, where does the term come from? Well, here's the cartoon, right? And so the word gerrymander comes from Elbridge Gerry, and he was a Massachusetts governor in around 1812 or so. And he signed a redistricting plan that benefited his party, because it created a district shaped oddly like a salamander, right? And newspapers called it the gerrymander, or I guess Gerrymander, just depending on how actually you want to be. So the name stuck, and so has the practice, right? Why do electoral districts matter? Why does the districting matter? Well, in the United States, voters elect representatives based on districts for the House of Representatives and also state legislatures. And so how these lines are drawn can determine which political party has power in Congress or the state legislature. So, for example, if two parties get 50% of votes statewide, depending on how the lines are drawn, one party could still win 70 to 80% of the seats available. So it just depends on how you draw the boundaries. So when it comes to the methods, behind gerrymandering, there are two main strategies. One is called packing, and this is where you concentrate the opposing party's voters into just a few districts, and you do this to reduce their influence elsewhere. And the other style is cracking, and this is where you spread opposing voters across many different districts so they can't form a majority anywhere. And we can also see racial gerrymandering too, because gerrymandering can affect racial and ethnic grouping. So historically, district lines were drawn to dilute black voting power, especially in the South, which would violate voting rights, right? And the Voting Rights Act of 1965 aimed to stop racial gerrymandering, but legal battles continue over what counts as racial versus partisan redistricting, right? Because you need to stretch this out as long as possible. And when it comes down to it, you end up with legal battles and even Supreme Court cases. Courts have ruled that racial gerrymandering is unconstitutional. So some key cases here, you have Baker v. Carr in 1962, which allowed federal courts to review redistricting cases, establishing a one-person, one-vote ideology, right? But then in Shaw v. Reno in 1993, it ruled that racial gerrymandering violated the Equal Protection Clause. Then the Rucco v. Common Cause case in 2019, the Supreme Court ruled that partisan gerrymandering is a political issue and not for federal courts to decide, therefore leaving it up to the states, which, yeah. Now, modern technology and modern gerrymandering have taken on a new life as well, because modern technology can make gerrymandering even more precise. So you have data on voter registration, demographics, past voting patterns, and this allows for extreme precision when drawing district lines. And then you can do this to protect incumbents, or you can do this to favor a political party. And software and data modeling allow politicians to basically create districts that almost guarantee their party will win, even in competitive states. So what are the consequences of gerrymandering? One, it reduces competition, right? It makes elections less responsive to the needs of the voters. It leads to extreme partisanship as politicians cater to safe base voters instead of moderates. Go to your fringe. It undermines confidence in democracy because it makes voters feel like their votes don't matter. It can result in misrepresentation. And this is where a party with fewer total votes wins a majority of seats. And it gives that icky feeling, right? What about efforts to reform gerrymandering? And many states are trying to reform the system. You have independent redistricting commissions in states like California and Arizona, and they want to remove politicians from the process. You have some states that use bipartisan commissions, or they have implemented stricter rules for transparency. You also have voting rights advocates that push for federal standards in an attempt to limit extreme gerrymandering. And reforms aim to ensure fairer representation and also more competitive elections. So, it's like we always get to my videos here, right? Why gerrymandering matters, for those few of you that hang around. Gerrymandering shapes who represents you in Congress and your state. Gerrymandering shapes what policies get passed or blocked. Gerrymandering shapes the health of democracy in the United States. And so understanding gerrymandering helps us recognize how power operates in everyday politics. So what can you do, right? You can, educate yourself. You can learn how your state draws district lines. You can support fair redistricting initiatives. You can vote in local and state elections that determine who controls redistricting. Gerrymandering isn't just a weird word, right? It's a powerful tool that shapes elections and also our democracy. And by understanding it, we can advocate for fair representation. You picked up something new, learned something new tonight? Hey, that's great. Like, comment, follow, share for more things you should know by being alive. Because knowing how elections are shaped can help us protect our democracy. Thanks for watching.